Most of these do not live here anymore. They're gone. I talked to an individual 3 months ago that lives down in Texas.
I really think that,
I
yes,
will say that I contacted Representative Bromley with some language I'd like to see the legislature add to it. And we'll see if he does it or not. And I've also contacted our insurance company and is protesting their review the last time we did their report. After I presented my arguments to them, so that was very successful when we did that.
okay. So this would be like, I've always kind of advocated for, but the state legislatures maybe going to try and do away with the counties checking your personal property before they issue a tag. They didn't do that this time, right?
They check the county side of it. They don't check the city side of it.
But I mean,
No.
they were talking about
Yes.
doing away with it.
Yes, they are. They're talking about doing away with that check totally.
But if, so if they don't, and we don't think they're going to do that, I honestly think we ought to have the county collect our personal property taxes. Not the real estate taxes, but the personal property. I know it's going to cost us, but we're looking at $56,000 we haven't collected.
Yep.
I mean, that's over several years.
Oh, yeah. I think the oldest on the list was 1996, if I remember right.
Yes, LaDonna.
Wow. What were they talking before when we had mentioned that? Was it like 2% or something for the collection fee for the county?
4
or
4%,
5.
I think.
4%.
I'm still thinking that's something we really need to,
I think it would.
I think it's something we need to look at. I think
Even if we do that, they're only going to go back 3 years.
that's fine. But we're talking about the future.
Yes. Yes.
And if they, like, say, if they currently can't get your car tags, I mean, if that changes, then it might not be worth it. But otherwise, people will pay it because they want to get their cars
I
tagged.
talked to one town that they collect for, and I can't remember the name of the town, but they said they don't collect delinquent taxes. They do not pursue delinquent taxes.
The county
The
doesn't,
county doesn't.
but you can't get a tag if you don't have a,
I mean, but they will not try to collect.
but if you
The only
can't,
way that, yeah.
if you can't license your car,
Yeah, but that's only present. That's only present,
2 years.
but they're not collecting delinquent though. They're only collecting.
No, but if you can't get a tag, you got to go pay your delinquent taxes
Well, and
to be able to get your tag.
Correct.
here's the other problem that's really irritating. Is just the other day, I get this tax add-on for this guy that 17, 18, and 19. I got 3 years in one day because he hadn't paid his taxes for 3 years and he went to tag his car. So now I'm sitting there with 3 years, and if the county only goes back 3 years, I mean, I'm at it. It's just frustrating that when they went to the 2-year tag, now I am getting, instead of getting the current year and the past year, now I'm getting the current year and 2 past years. So I'm getting more delinquents as county add-ons because of the way people tag their cars now.
All that being said, what I would like you to do
Just have a motion.
I need a motion to accept this list for strike-offs in delinquent taxes.
Mr. Talley?
Personal property tax.
Section 135.170 says the board may declare lists to be worthless. So that's the motion, to declare this list a worthless list.
Okay.
I move we declare this a worthless list.
Second.
Motion voted on Allen, St. Richard Zaccardelli to clear the personal property tax worthless list worthless. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. The list is now worthless.
Just for your information, on real estate, it stays a lot more current, but we currently have $97,565.28 in
But if they ever sell the property, there's a lien on it for that.
Yeah, we will.
So we can collect that.
We get that money one
Yeah.
way or another.
That's what I'm still saying. I mean, you guys need to evaluate it and see if you think it's worth it to do that. That way, plus it takes a headache away from you guys. It takes away a lot of not a lot of postage, I guess, because some postage. But you don't have to mail that. You don't have to print those statements. You don't have to do that. That'll save us a little bit there, and maybe we'll get some extra cash in with people that don't register cars. If you don't think you want to do it, that's fine with me. You just consider it. I've only been bringing this up for 4 years, and I know everybody pays attention to me.
We do. What?
Moving right along. Ordinances. An ordinance submitting to the voters, this would be in this November election, a proposal for a public safety sales tax on the November 3rd, 2020 election.
I move we put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Donna Allen, second by Roger Spencer to put this ordinance on first reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance imposing a public safety sales tax in the city of Carl Junction, Missouri, and providing for such ordinance to be submitted to the qualified voters of the city.
Discussion. Steve,
This came up internally, was it last week?
last week.
The mayor and I and Mary Beth talking about it. I found the appropriate statute that we fall into is 90 Missouri Revised Statutes 94-900G. With the public safety sales tax, it has to be legislative authorized. And what they have done to do that is they've put some population categories in there. We currently fit into one of those categories. It's the 7,000 to 8,000 mark because we're using the 2010 census, which is what they use. Next year, when the 2020 census comes out, we will not fit into any category. So this is our last chance until we get legislation again to be able to do this. My focus talking to legislators in the past has been to get this opened up to all cities, not just a specific authorized one. And for us too. It's always fell on deaf ears up there. So we have this chance now to be able to do that. This will be the November ballot. We estimate about $150,000 a year is what it would bring in. And we would dedicate that strictly to the police department.
What percentage of our budget is police now?
It's like 84% of the general fund, isn't it?
It's like,
Well, yeah, the
yes,
general
But-
yeah,
fund.
it's 80-some percent
So,
of the
yeah,
general
this would
fund.
definitely help that
Absolutely it would.
situation.
Yes. Total budget, it's probably 20% total budget.
It's 1.2.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is there any further discussion? Anybody like to say why you don't like it?
You know, it
Because I
might-
always like,
yeah.
if you guys don't like something, Gary and Bob, please say why you don't like
Oh,
something.
I
if you
would
don't like
speak
it.
up.
Oh, I know you will. And Bob will too.
No, and I think we're on the heels of a similar safety tax that was passed. I would think the odds would be good.
Well, I hope so. So, any further discussion?
Well, the problem I see is we'll have problem in Ward 3 because of CID tax.
Possibly.
But that's not a property.
I've heard so many
It's
people
not a
say,
property tax.
I don't play golf. Why should I pay the CID? It's a tax.
It's a sales
Yeah, it doesn't.
tax, though.
It is, this one is a sales
I know
tax,
it.
but I have heard the same thing.
Yeah.
Tax is a tax as far as some of them out there
Yeah.
are concerned.
The only good thing about it, oh,
Safety
sorry.
tax, easier one.
But maybe this is the time to pass it. What's going on around the country?
Donna?
We need our good
The
police
good,
department.
the good thing about it, I think, with a sales tax, residents look at it as anybody who's coming into Carl Junction. Like even if you're on the outskirts of town and you're coming into a ball game and you stop at Dollar General or something, you're going to be paying it. It's not just the residents. So maybe we will have better luck with the sales tax than we do
Yep.
maybe a use tax.
Any further discussion on this reading?
The Joplin's safety tax is still in play, isn't it?
Yeah, you got reauthorized. They put a sunset on theirs. I forget how, it's 6 years, I think is what they put on theirs. This does not have a sunset on it. It's
Make a motion to put it on second reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Roger Spencer, second by LaDonna Allen to put this ordinance on second reading by title only. Will the clerk please read the title?
An ordinance imposing a public safety sales tax in the city of Carl Junction, Missouri, and providing for such ordinance to be submitted to the qualified voters of the city.
Any further discussion?
Move we put this ordinance on final passage.
Second.
Motion by LaDonna Allen, second by Roger Spencer to put this ordinance on final passage. This is a hand vote to go to an electronic vote. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 6 in the affirmative, please vote electronically.
Mine's blinking. Is it, okay, I can still vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, still blinking,
That means it's active.
but I voted.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you got it.
Oh, we have 6 in the affirmative with 2 absent. The ordinance passes. We will put this on the ballot, the November 3rd, 2020 ballot.
That's ordinance 2022.
2022. Thank you.
Just one quick question.
Certainly.
What is our cost to put this on the ballot?
About $4,000.
I can give you a guess. Somewhere between 4,000 and 6,000.
There'll be a lot of voters out, so.
There'll be a lot of voters out in November ballot.
Oh.
Next is reports. Administration report. Are there any comments or corrections for the city administrator who happened to miss our last meeting?
Crystal and I were at annual MIRMA conference. I am no longer on the MIRMA board. I was booted.
You-
I was booted. Nice.
You're part of a worthless list.
Yeah. I did not get reelected.
Didn't pay your dues.
Anything else for the city administrator?
Yeah, I have something I'd like to talk to him and have Jimmy hear this too. I went back and looked at some of my notes talking to Lori Marble, who was the community relations manager, and Becky Baltz, who was the chief engineer. And that was when the District 7 still was in Joplin. And they put me in touch with an engineer out of, and this was a long time ago. And I wanted to complain about some of the roads around the red lights, especially the one that's no longer there at Stone's Corner. And he told me that all the trailers that have shifting loads in them cause a major problem at stop signs, at red lights, and curves. And when I looked around, some of the curves around the area are 20 miles an hour. And I know we had a curve and Jimmy had to fix the center of it. And I'm sure there was loads going around there because of our underground springs in that whole area there. And I know that that's why Marie is being tore apart. And I think it would be wise to stop further. Is what he told me is if you could reduce the speed as they approach the red lights and stop signs, that minimizes the damage and the energy going down to the tandem wheels. So I'm proposing again that we look at Marie and make it a 20-mile-an-hour rate, miles per hour, and also from where Copper Oaks begins, it was formerly the Marie cul-de-sac, going north to Sunnybrook, that we put 25 miles an hour on it because it's starting to tear up too. And as you know, these are all loads that shift, the concrete, the asphalt, those trucks, there's a lot of concrete being poured in that area. And they've also tore up Barbrook Drive in the area where they're building. So I'm proposing that we 20 mile an hour on Marie and 25 on Sunnybrook down to, or on Copper Oaks down to Sunnybrook. And then it can go 30, 35 beyond that. And any major curves, we got to be careful because just today I was coming back down Lone Elm in what they call Snob Hill. That curve there, they can't fix it. They can't keep it fixed. It's a big curve there, and a lot of trucks hit it and they destroy that street, that curve. I don't know if any of you, and I'll tell you another thing. Look at 171 in Madison and Webb City, just near McDonald's. Look at the road and you'll see how the trucks have really discolored that whole area. He told me back then that they were playing around with some new materials for those areas around red lights and stop signs. But just take a look. And I'll tell you another thing, Madison, Webb City finally fixed Madison going north. They widened the road and put a center turn lane in there, and that was the most dangerous section. And it's still only 25 miles an hour. So that's all I have. Got it off my chest.
25 on Madison?
Yeah, north.
North of,
Oh, north of,
Yeah.
north of
Yeah.
McDonald's?
25 all
Yeah.
the way out of town.
And a lot of roads that go through are 25
Alrighty.
miles an hour.
Anything else for the chief?
We'll let you know, we did receive a complaint the other day about speeding in a dump truck, but it was not coming from out west, it was coming on the north end of Copper Oaks. I talked to that company, I had somebody go out there and run radar twice this last week and early this week, and they didn't find the truck going over 20 miles an hour. You know, so I don't, we can slow it down, but when I talked to the driver of that dump truck, the first truck, he goes, wow, I'm going faster than 32, 34. And the complaint was from a guy who's a car guy and then making a car cut the curves there on West Park. So we, you know, we can set speed limit wherever you want to. But at that point, we went down there and he parked off the side where he wouldn't observe and he didn't find anybody going anywhere near 30.
But I think when we put the 20 and 25, they pay attention to it. Maybe they'll go 5 miles over it, but at least it's slowing it down. When it's 30, they're going 35. And a lot of people speed on Marie when they're going to work.
No, they don't. He ran the radar out there. It's impossible to go that fast on a 1-block street.
Well, they're doing it. Yeah. And also the 20-mile speed limit, that protects the people that are in those homes on the east side of it that have to walk over to the main building for meals, for the nurse, for activities, and they walk across that street. Some in wheelchairs, some in walkers. And everywhere in the country, it's 20 miles an hour in those areas. That's all I have. I'm not going to say anymore.
Anything else for the city administrator's report? Very well then, we'll go on to department reports. Let's start with, I don't know what we got here. What's the first one here? Public Works. Public Works. I got a question for you. When's he gonna start the Fairway Drive project? Next week. Yeah, I told everybody last week it was gonna be this week.
Next week, it'll be the week after.
Okay, next week. Next week, okay, because we're probably gonna have to shut down number 8 Green when they're doing that. Which is not gonna make some of my friends happy.
It's only gonna be for a day.
But we're gonna all take pars.
And when I was playing golf, it tore me up because on number 2, I hit my drive right in the middle of where they were digging the ditch through. Really upset me.
Oh, God, I love my job.
It's been a long week.
Anything else for Jimmy?
I had a
Oh, I
quick
did.
question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me say one more thing. I'm sorry. Right there on Briarbrook Lane, I talked to you about that stuff that was there. The guy lived across you that said you mowed all that down and cut it, and he's very, very appreciative. Thank you very much.
Oh, the trees?
No, not the
West
trees.
Briarbrook, West Briarbrook.
West Briarbrook Lane, you know where all of those things you
Cattails were out there.
put in there and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really appreciate you cutting that down.
It looks good.
Looks really good.
That's a hard ditch to cut.
Yes, it is. Extremely hard.
The old train ditch.
LaDonna, I'm sorry.
I was gone last time. Have we started anything on sidewalks yet?
Never had time.
Jimmy.
I start, but then I fell off the ledge. I wanted a basketball court.
Well, we'll just tell the kids that, they can walk through the street to get to school.
I mean, get out here in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I hope.
They can walk down the middle of the street to come play basketball, Steve.
These sidewalks in people.
I know
grew up
you.
in this town with bicycles, man. I want them fixed.
I know you do. That's what. Okay, well,
guys, you didn't know about the vandalism down there at the shelter, did you, here at Memorial? Oh, man, they cleaned it up real good. And, we got it off. We had to take a day of power washing. It's off. I was gonna ask Steve, do you think we can get the street light on that one pole that sits up there just south of it a little bit? Or you think that'll mess traffic up? And if it's possible to have
I
that.
think it is. It's straight from one pole to another one.
Yeah, I'd like to
Okay, I'll turn it in.
turn it in and see what happens.
Anything else for Jimmy? Moving right along, I don't believe I have a building inspector's report. So we'll go to the police department report. Any comments for the chief?
Well, just that, as I said with the committee, never heard of radio problems. Steve sent me an email, asked for a wish list, but don't worry about budget. I put in for a digital radio system. Again, not having a complaint with my officers. The guy who gave us the quote on this radio system of 38,000, 39,000, whatever it was, him and I talked. They come in and did a coverage of the city with a 5-watt transmitter, portable. The only spot they found might not be covered is out on 171. They also come down here, worked on the cars, found a problem with an adapter in dispatch, worked on the repeaters in the cars. We have a programming issue with that. We did find a repeater out on Ivy Road. We had that one hit by lightning, and so we only have one system. What they found was that system going in is putting in, the output on that system is half what the input is. So we have a little issue there. So we're going to replace that repeater. Somebody asked, is this a patch? No. And long talking to this guy, we're on analog right now. Before we go to digital, if we stay analog, Joplin has a system that can interlock and interchange and talk to us. County is looking at possibly going to the state radio in the future. They could talk to us. And as I put in my note, that state radio system may be something to look at in the future. I think all told on getting these things taken care of, we're probably looking at $4,000, $5,000 to get everything back in shape the way it should be working. It's a lot better than spending 40 on something that, again, 5 years from now, you may be looking at changing it. Try to look into the future and get things taken care of. As I put that message, that report to you guys, one of my guys already says it improved the radio quality by a bunch. And we had a stop of a car going 106 last night, which ended up on the north side of Joplin back in New Edition. They didn't have any trouble contacting people on the radio. So hopefully we got some of those issues fixed without going and borrowing money and spending more on something that we'd probably look at replacing in the future to try to get. Statewide radio system is really spreading. In fact, Joplin's been on 800 for 20 years, over 20 years, and they're talking about possibly going to that system. If in the future with the sales tax money, if that comes in, that would be something we look at doing, I would think, in the future. Because that way, everybody's on a radio system, and we can talk to anybody in the state if we need.
That's good.
So it's, the technology changes and improves through the years, but we're not really behind times. The county went to their radio system because of cost, and the sheriff is not completely satisfied with it. They have places where literally they've talked to us. We've called our dispatch to call their dispatch because they can't talk to them. So that's a problem. We don't have that here. So, but hopefully that'll take care of some of the problem. And as I said, it's not a patch. The patch would be looking at 2 or 3 years. I think they're looking at a few years down the road before the county comes up with that money, and hopefully we can accrue some back. So when that change is made, I think it'd be a smart thing to do then. So, I don't know if you have any other questions.
Anything for the chief?
I think Mary Beth and back in 2013 when we had that tornado, we couldn't communicate nobody could talk to one another. You remember that, Mary Beth? We finally got a call from the mayor to meet him at the high school somewhere in the high school we met, I think in the library. But police were completely dead. They couldn't talk the cars couldn't talk to anybody.
Literally, I mean, since 2005, we've made some great strides.
Yeah.
And now the budget is stretched pretty thin, and it's a citywide budget. I mean, everybody is stretched thin, and that's why I talked about the sales tax. That will enable us to do something. We tried to stay out on the cutting edge. When I came in here, a lot of things changed. I mean, they didn't investigate crimes, they took reports. We do everything now, and I've got a good crew of people that are doing a good job. Eventually I'm going to retire, and I'd like to leave the place in great shape for the next person that comes in that can continue to improve. So
I've seen the improvements, Chief. It's great. And let's continue.
Gary?
I apologize if I'm not quite sure where I bring this up. if it's for the chief, new business, old business, or nuisance. But a couple weeks ago, I visited with Steve about a property on Pennell.
Yep. Officer David Waymeyer did not get back to me. I asked him where he was at on it.
Okay.
And I did not know.
And then today I was at the polls, and a lady approached me about Lone Elm north of Fur Country Club. She feels it's a racetrack. She thinks it's just a summer thing with kids, and was wondering if maybe if a car was out there, that might break the habit for a day or
I
so.
think put speed trailer out there again. That always put speed trailer out there again. That always
Yeah,
does a good job.
Yeah.
That way we get a report.
She was real friendly about it all. And, yeah. Yeah.
And what speeds they went, what time they went through there. So,
okay.
I'm sorry I couldn't quite hear everything you said, but
Oh, it's okay.
I got the gist.
Was this the proper time?
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
I wasn't sure. All right.
If I'm gonna tell you something, if you want to ask me a question.
All right. Very good.
Yeah.
That's it.
Deal for the chief, you
Thanks,
bet.
I have.
Donna?
I know we're probably going to have another budget meeting because we're going to have bids coming back. And so we need to look at the pros and cons of all the situation. So I wanted to verify on the report that you gave, you had said you estimated we could go to if we went to Moswin, it'd be about 100,000.
That's what I'm guessing.
Is that just because I was listening back to the first July meeting, and we were talking about it would be like 5,600 a unit for 15 cars, or for 15 units. So
Yeah.
would that just be portables? Will we have units in the cars on top of that?
That's a ballpark. I'm not sure. It's going to be in excess of 100,000, I'm sure, because you're looking at 7 car radios and portables, and I don't have a price on them right now. 100,000 is to give you a warning.
Well, I was going to say, because if we're looking at 47,000 for the other, and we're looking at 100,000 to go on the state of the art. I mean, if we're going to be financing, we need to consider some of these, but it would be about 84,000 just for those 15 units. So if we have to get the car units.
If I remember right, that bid from Communication Associates for a very specific brand, those were portables only, and they were 50.
No, they're portables and car radios.
Okay.
So they're both, so those are both?
That's a system like we have on the frequency we have, but digital versus.
Yeah, no, I meant the Moswin
The
system.
Moswin system's going to be, my guess, about the price of those 2 P25 compliant radios. That'll be something, like I said, that's going to be a future issue.
So
I can't give you a price. That was a guess on my part.
on the lightning strike, is this something that just happened, or, I mean, was that recently?
Not real recently, to be honest with you, because we took it, we switched that out, and Southwest Communications took it to repair it. And to be honest, it slipped through, and I hadn't heard from him, and I called him about it, and he goes, "Well, it's junk, we can't fix it." And I should have got hold of you a long time ago, and I guess I should have followed up on it too. We haven't had a problem with it failing.
How
If
much,
it did fail, we'd have a problem.
do you know how much that is, just that part of it?
The repeater replacement, I've got the email, probably in the neighborhood of $3,000.
On the comment that the officers, you'd heard back from the officers that it had taken care of a lot of the problems, did they tell you at that point if they said it took care of the problems? what problems had they been having? I mean, and did they say why they hadn't said anything before, if they haven't came to us before?
I met with each and every employee of the city, of the police department. Dispatchers, police officers, supervisors, animal control nuisance officer, I met with everybody. I told them there was things off the table I wouldn't talk about, and that was the things they brought up in their collective bargaining thing. Each and every one of them brought up the radio. And I told them we'd been looking at solutions before, and they all talked about a spot or spots where the portables wouldn't work. Well, we're hoping we got that issue fixed. Programming a filter for the repeaters or for the repeaters in the car will fix that problem, because what happens in those, you're talking a portable, it goes to the repeater in the car, and the car transmits to our repeater back to the police station. That's the way it works. So rather than 5 watts, you'll be jumping up to the 50, and there shouldn't be a spot anyway. The coverage map, and I've got it, I didn't include it because it's a pretty small area. The only place that it showed gray with a 5-watt transmitter from our repeater is in that area out by the motorcycle shop and the granite place right there, that low spot, which honestly, if you look at it geographically, it's one of the lowest spots in the city.
And that's not in the city limits.
Cell phones drop out there.
Yeah, that
Now,
part.
No, the motorcycle shop or the granite shop.
Well,
the-
the other side of it.
The 50-watt car radio transmits just fine. It's the portable issues, which is what it always is. You can't get a portable to transmit over 5 watts and still function with a size issue. So I've had guys tell me it's working much better.
I will tell you, I talked to the sheriff's department somebody from the sheriff's department on a regular basis. I was actually talking with Randy Kaiser July 23rd or 24th about another matter. And so I kind of felt him out on some of the stuff. He said, and this is like I say, when we get bids back, we're going to have to look at pros and cons and what do we do now and what do we finance and what do we kick down the road. He did recommend going digital rather than analog.
Well, as I tell you, talk to the radio expert.
Mhm.
I mean, we can go to the digital system if you want to spend money. The problem we had was it's not going to improve the coverage. And his system, the sheriff's department system, is proprietary. It can only talk to that radio. No matter what we go to, unless we go to the exact model they have, we can't talk to them. Doesn't matter if it's analog or digital. And so.
Yeah, because right now I know
I'll
he's
do
got
it
the
at council
Kenwood.
request. I'm just telling you what the radio guy, the expert, and the guy who would sell me $40,000 worth of equipment or fix it for 10% of that.
Yeah.
And
Well, I know, like I said, I was just asking if there was a benefit one over the other. And I did talk to him. Like he said, he is in the very first exploratory stages of seeing if they can even do, because they're going to be,
tremendous amount of
yeah.
money for the county.
and he told me, Carterville is the main one that they had problems with. And Carterville kind of, when they went from having their own tower in their front yard to going off one on the north side of Carthage, they kind of caused some of that problems themselves. But he said, as far as like the Kenwood that they have, entry-level digital system, it's very cost efficient and, it would be a good place to start. He did say that, down the road, they may be looking at the Moswin, but he said it's very, very early in the exploratory stages. But he said that, the ones that they have been reliable. And if we wanted to test out a digital system as to see how it compares to the analog before we put that money out, when I was on the phone with him, he even said if you guys wanted, he'd send a couple of the portables over just to see if you get a better coverage of theirs.
We own 2 of them.
Okay, yeah, to see, just, I think,
We can talk to them.
yeah.
Uh,
Can we,
I'm just,
can we get those out and see if it's any difference in the coverage? Like,
they can't talk to us, they can only talk to the county.
right. But can we get them out and test them to see if it makes any difference? Are we getting any better signal?
Makes any difference in what? I'm not sure I understand what you're saying.
If we can get good coverage from here talking to the county without having a tower that's on their system, Would that tell us how reliable digital is?
I don't know, maybe.
I mean, kind of like test driving a car before,
I'm only gonna tell you what the conversation I had with the sheriff was. And this is they bought this system because they could afford it. And he's not happy. He wants to go to the statewide radio system. That was straight out of him, and I hate for that to go into the record, but that's the conversation I had with him. We can go to that system for probably $1,000 a car. But what happens in 4 years from now, they go to something different, and we're still spending the money, and we still can't talk to anybody else. I mean, we can talk to the local agencies, but as I said, when he's not happy with it and wants to go to something else, do you want to go that route?
Well, and what he told me was, it's just like with cell phones. 99% of the time, they don't have an issue. The one time you have an issue is when it's a big call, or like you said, the officers, the deputies, it's the time that it didn't work that they remember. He said, 97% of the time, it's just like a cell phone.
We have had their 2 portables because we got those, because they call us on occasion. We back deputies out in the county quite often because we got people closer. But we couldn't talk to them. So we bought 2 of their portables so that we would have connections with them. We have one at dispatch, and we have a supervisor, whoever's on duty, carry the other one. So that the county, they can relay if they need to. We've already had 2 of their portables for some time.
Who can we talk to with our system?
What's that?
Who else can we talk to with our system?
I've talked to anybody else yet.
No,
No, I mean,
Webb City,
Well, no,
Joplin,
no,
nobody else?
nobody else.
Our radios are just only for,
Well, Joplin has an interlink where we could talk to them.
you can talk to Joplin, okay.
but it would likely be Jasper County or maybe Webb that would respond mutual aid first.
Well, Jasper County, Webb City, Carthage, Carterville, Orono goes on that system. But,
But you got 2 radios you can talk
I'm
with the
looking,
county on.
yes, and I'm trying to look at the future beyond what's now. So,
Well, and that's what I think we're looking at. And like I said, that's the reason I ask about that in the report for the 100,000, because I think we do need to plan for the future. If we're going to make that investment, and if it's only that much more, do we go to the other? Do we push it off? Like I said, we're going to have a meeting, and we're going to have to get all the pros and cons and see if we do something now, if we wait, get a good, number on the most win. But I would hope that the officers realize if they are having any problem with the radio communication, that they get with somebody instead of you having to go to them.
I'm asking you guys, give me direction. I was doing what I thought would work best for the city. You tell me what you want to do.
I think we're gonna have to have the budget meeting to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna have to have a budget meeting to tell you what the city wants to do with the money they have. Then they'll tell you.
I guess my question may be kind of silly, but is there a difference? I guess does weather make a difference on analog versus digital?
Not really. I suppose sunspots, but we're not talking distance to have those issues.
Right.
Lightning will always cause problems with electronics, but not that often. That's one of those, that is what hit the radio. We also tested the antenna and the coax and everything that's on this tower to make sure it didn't have any damage from the storms, because I'm sure that tower's been hit by lightning and it works perfectly. There's no problem with that. There's no problem with the antenna and the coax at the repeater out there at that site.
So the difference, Mark, between an analog and a digital is the size of the packet of the information that gets transmitted. With a digital,
Smaller packets,
it's a much smaller packet, so it's not quite as reactive to environmental issues. It's still reactive, but not as much so, because you have a lot of difference.
A transmission was static on an analog system. If you have a digital system, if you have a weak signal, it won't transmit at all.
at all.
That's one of
And
If you go to digital, you got digital and analog. Are they all gonna just talk to the same people?
If you have separate systems that are proprietary,
Talking about,
they will not talk to each other.
what I'm saying is, we got a system now that's analog. And we
We
can
can't
only
talk.
talk to us and maybe Joplin. If we go to digital, we're the same way. We can only talk to us and maybe Joplin.
No, you can talk to everybody. The explanation I got from the radio man was that in digital, anybody can program that line in. Once you go digital, you may have people not be able to program into that.
But right now, the system, everybody is
I will,
basically Orinoco and Carthage and Webb City, and
I will.
everybody is on the Jasper County system. They all are together.
But Joplin is not.
Joplin's on a separate system, but they have the interlinks between the two because they paid the bucks.
Okay.
Okay.
They have an AS4000, which is a machine
Okay,
they can program
I
other
understand now.
frequencies into that will interchange.
okay.
So I will have Sergeant Stever go out in different locations in the city and try the transmissions on the portable, see if it's improved.
Yeah, I'd like to see if it makes a, now, and the Kenwood, you can switch between digital and analog, right? Like if you buy the Kenwood systems, like the
new-
Next
new
Edge
ones,
or whatever.
The Next Edge system is a analog/digital.
So you can go back, like if you weren't getting a signal on digital, you could switch it over
They're
to
not the
analog.
only ones that make systems like that, but yes.
All right.
Okay, anything else for the chief?
No, I just want to confirm some of that stuff.
Thank you, Delmer, I appreciate it. Next committee reports. Budget and Finance, LaDonna.
No, it sounds like we're going to be having a meeting, but, I don't know if we want to do one before the next meeting or before the first meeting in September when we have bid packets.
We'll have bid packets in. They're due in on the 25th, so we probably have to do it after that.
Okay, so we'll hold off and schedule one then the 1st of September. So that's all.
First, when do we have to have our levy in?
Tax levy is next meeting. Next meeting is the tax levy.
Yes. The 25th.
25th meeting is when
Then,
we'll do
then we
it.
have a week before we have to call a special meeting because they've rejected it.
No, we actually got all the information in time and I advertised it, so we should be able to have it during our regular meeting.
Well, good.
So should we,
And the state's gonna approve it?
Well, I don't know if they'll approve it.
That's what I mean. If they don't approve it, then we gotta change it, then we have to have a special meeting.
That's true.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But I don't think they'll change it because they're the ones who set the numbers to us, so.
Okay, all right, very good then, very good. So you'll have to schedule a meeting when you find out about that, I guess.
yeah, we'll just try to plan one for the first part of
Let's see,
September.
code and nuisance, Rick isn't here, Roger, Gary, and Richard are, though. I guess you guys didn't have a meeting probably, so you don't know anything. Human resources, Roger.
Nothing.
Public facilities, Mark, welcome back, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Glad you're on days.
Oh, my God, me too. No, no.
Yeah, but for how long?
Okay,
I have to have a meeting with Miss LaDonna Allen at some point to get her.
very good. Senior citizens, Richard.
Yeah, nothing's changed. Everything's the same as it's been.
Cool. Unfinished business. Bob,
Nothing.
Richard,
I have none there.
Roger?
Nothing.
I probably did, but I can't remember. I'm old. So I have nothing. LaDonna?
No old business that I can think of.
Mark?
I have nothing, sir.
Gary?
Nothing.
Mr. Talley?
Nothing to report.
Elaine? Oh, she's not. Oh. Mary Beth? Crystal? Steve?
No, sir.
Jimmy? Chief? Okay, let's go to new business. Gary?
No, sir.
Mark?
Nothing, sir.
LaDonna?
Well, at the risk of opening a can of worms,
Oh, boy.
is there anything at all that we can do in the interest of motorist and resident and public safety about the gentleman standing out at Lone Elm and Fir on the city side, about 2 feet back from the road, asking for monetary contributions? Because he almost got hit today, which would be horrible. And I almost got hit today because somebody panicked because there's a man standing outside their window and took off and almost hit us head on. I don't know if we have anything in the city code, but he's going to get hit, or he's going to step out, or he's going to cause another accident.
So we have to be extremely careful with this as we follow Joplin's lead on what happened to them.
Yep.
Yes.
And they ended up in a civil rights lawsuit over the deal. So we'll have to do some research and see. You can probably safely get something in about they have to stay so many feet off the road
Well,
right away, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to find
and that, because he literally was between the stop sign and the road. And there was this single woman in a vehicle, and he is right outside of her window, and she just gunned it. And I can understand there was a murder suspect that carjacked two people in Carthage this week. And so you've got somebody outside your door with a mask and you don't know them or who they are. And if they're a legitimate person, and it can be intimidating. So I understand her taking off, but we came within a foot of getting hit. And I'm sure it's not the first time because people are distracted and he's stepping out through the weeds.
Was he on the north side or the south side of Fur?
He's on our side.
He's on our side. It'd be the north side.
Northeast corner, right there by where the gas lines and everything are, in the really tall weeds. And the thing is, there's different times of day that he's been out there, and he wasn't there at like 5:20, and by 5:30 he was. So
Peak time.
peak times, and
He's got to mow the weeds.
or not. Yeah, but anyhow, if there's anything we can do, like I say, it's coming down to a,
Go out and ask them to stay out of traffic and not get hit. Literally, you see them everywhere. The problem is, people give them money.
Yeah.
If people didn't give money, they wouldn't be doing it.
Right.
We can't keep them from doing it. Springfield tried to enact an ordinance that made it illegal to give them money, stop them, give something to somebody on the side of the road. They got beat in that. I'm willing to do anything that won't violate anybody's
Right.
rights, because we can't afford it and don't want to sit war.
well, I would.
CLU each city up on this.
Yeah, and that those four initials came up in a few conversations today. But I was wondering, you can come in and get a permit to assemble. Like if you're going to hold a rally or you're going to demonstrate or anything else, you can tell people that they need to come and get a permit to demonstrate. Could we not ask them to come in and get, even if it was free, to get a permit to panhandle or whatever you want to call it? But that way you would have their information, you would know where they were going to be during what hours, and maybe you can even tell people where they can safely demonstrate. Maybe we could tell them a safe place that they could go to stand, rather than at an intersection where they're causing accidents.
24-hour maximum.
Stone's
You
Corner.
gotta have a permit
Yeah.
every day if you're gonna do it every day.
Yeah.
That's come in,
Right.
get a permit every day.
I mean, you don't have to charge them, so people can't say, well,
Yeah,
you
be
have an
free.
indigent person and now you're trying to charge them. No, just come in, get your permit, we'll tell you where you can be. Airport Drive did away with theirs.
Yeah, pandemic is going to make it worse. It's making it worse.
But
Crime
it's really
everywhere.
not. He's got a lost job sign.
It's going to happen more
He's
and
getting an
more.
extra 600 a week. I don't know. I wish we could do some kind of,
I
like
guess you
say,
want Mr. Talley to look at that, see what.
if he could, because
I'm not optimistic.
it was my side of the, even, like I said, just like you would do a demonstration, permit to demonstrate or something. Because it was my side of the car that almost got hit. That makes it extremely
There's a
personal.
There's a reason why we have people get permits to conduct a parade or a demonstration. That's so that we can protect them. Is that the reason we're doing
Yes,
this?
because because he almost got hit today. I mean, he literally almost got hit today.
And in the case of a parade or such, you send officers out there, right,
On a parade, yes, we go out and lead the parade and guard and work traffic around it so that they're safe.
So are you proposing that they send a car out there wherever he's going to be?
No, but I think it would be good to have a location where they're going to be, or to tell them a safe location for them to conduct that activity.
You want to tell them where they can
Yeah.
do this.
Because can't you tell them where they can demonstrate? You sure? Didn't Joplin
They-
tell them
You
where
have
they?
a right to
Joplin
peaceably
Drive.
assemble anywhere that's not on private property.
But you can't in the middle of a road.
Yeah, you can.
They tried to limit them to speed limits and got beat. They tried to, where they couldn't be on an intersection where their track speed limit was over 40. They tried to eliminate range line, and they, not only did they get beat, they cost them money. So, this is something Mr. Talley can research.
I mean,
And see if there's anything we can do. I don't know that you can tell them where they can do it. We can go out and try to tell them not to obstruct traffic.
well, that's the thing. I mean, you can't obstruct traffic in the middle of the road. You can't shut down a public highway unless you have a permit to shut that. Anyhow, I don't know. I would like to see if there's any way that you can,
I'll confer with Chief.
because otherwise there's enough accidents up that corner anyhow. And people are gawking at him and nobody knows whose turn it is to go and they're pulling out in front of each other.
I will confer with the chief and see if there's something that can be enacted. But I tell you that I'm very pessimistic about there being a legal way to do this without doing damage. But I will look at it and report back.
Thank
Didn't
you.
Joplin come up with the deal where they had to be so far back from an intersection?
That failed.
Did it
That's the
fail?
one they got beat on pretty bad.
Fail.
It's anarchy.
I think we should offer the guy a ride to Stone's Corner.
I said I would gladly give him a ride to the people at Stone's Corner that are actually within walking distance that are
It's a
higher.
much higher traffic, much higher traffic, probably a better chance. of
Okay.
success.
Moving on, is that it, LaDonna?
Yes, sir, that is all I
Okay,
have
let's see,
to
new
rant about.
business, looks like MediaCom is taking off the NFL Network and the NFL Red Zone and keeping the rates the same. And the other thing is, I should have mentioned this to you earlier, Chief. It's happened to me twice now, and it happens about 7:00 in the evening. A couple kids on a really small scooter are going down like Joplin Street, and they turn off on Briarbrick Drive there, and then they get on the paved part of the walking trail on their scooter and zip right on down there. And last night it was about 7, and they were on the Lakeside Trail. I was in my golf cart. They were coming at me, and I told them, "Hey, you guys can't do that." And they went off to the side, and I turned around and tried to follow them. But unfortunately, my golf cart will not go as fast as their little scooter will. They went down Copper Oaks down there where the dead end is, and never could find out where they were. They must have gone into a garage or someplace else. It'd be nice if we could just maybe sometime catch them. Hey, what's everybody laughing
I'm
at?
just laughing about you and Hot
Are you
Pursuit.
wanting a bad pursuit?
I just got a new controller yesterday.
He's going to be that old guy that's chasing other kids.
So anyway, they're not supposed to have motorized vehicles on the Lakeside Trail, or they're not supposed to have them on the walking trail either. Not even golf carts on the paved one that the state put in. But they go right on through there, and there are just 2 of them on there, not very old. I doubt either one of them has a driver's license. And they're flying. I think they're supposed to limit it 30 miles an hour or something.
Did you shake your fist?
No, I screamed at them.
Arnie 5.
Send him up to Lone.
They didn't even wave at me either. They just kept going. That's all I have.
Don't let them know where you live, boy. I'll tell you what. And then this goes to what you were talking about, Steve, some time ago. People need to call the police when they've got a barking dog. Well, this lady called David. David came out and chastised this young family. The next day, she got a big rock right through her window. And she won't call a police officer again.
Yep.
So retaliation is there. So be careful, Mark.
They didn't know who I was.
Says it right up front.
Citizens arrest.
No, I took that off. Roger. My name's Easy Go.
Nothing.
Richard,
I have nothing, Mayor.
new visit, Mr. Tally. Oh, Mary Beth, Crystal, Steve, Jimmy.
Just, that pump for the wastewater plant, Steve, you get the prices on it. How did you get the prices on it?
Yeah, we had to go with the KSB.
Did we already?
Yeah.
What about the well? Or pump, is there a pump that was going out on the one of the wells?
The wet well.
Well, with the wet well, we had a pump go down on it.
Oh, okay, that's what you're talking about. Okay, good. That it, Jimmy?
That's it.
Anything else, Chief?
I sent it out to see if they can locate a guy on Elmore Road. I said, ask you not to Peters.
He was walking towards discount liquor when we left.
Can't blame him for that.
So somebody gave him some money.
He made a
Gave
few
him some
bucks.
cash.
Yeah.
Is there any other business before the council?
Oh. I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Donna Allen, second by Mark Satterley, that we adjourn. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. 16 affirmative, with 2 absent, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Mark.
I have to meet for a few minutes. Could you wait
Saturday.
on me?
Oh, I've got all the time in the world.